my name is Sarah, and I'm the curriculum coordinator for A Taste of African Heritage and A Taste of Latin American Heritage from Oldways. Today I chose the spicy chickpeas because they actually stem from one of our chapters within the African Heritage curriculum. It's lesson 1. It's one of the first recipes you'll see mentioned. Within this lesson, it focuses on urban spices, and it features allspice, which is actually very important to Caribbean culture. And the grounds are typically made from dried fruits, and the paprika part that is also included within the spicy chickpeas recipe has a great significance to, the American South and also the Latin American culture. So there's that. We have the ginger, we have the cilantro, and then we also have onions. And then we have the canned chickpeas. Usually, I preferably like using fresh, but I know this recipe in specific calls for canned, but you could use either or. Just be sure to check the measurements. And then, of course, we have the diced tomatoes. So great, let's get started. So first steps first, what we're going to do, and also, let me warn you now, the recipe that you'll see, it does have 1 tablespoon of olive oil, but for this recipe in specific, I really like the sesame seed oil. It just adds a different taste to it, and it's not that much of a huge significance. It's just I preferably like doing that. So first, let's add 1 tablespoon of the sesame seed oil to this pot here. Perfect. And now I'm going to turn on my stove. I'll put it in the middle, probably about set at medium. Great. And then once it starts to heat up, I'll be adding 1 cup of, it's actually 1 medium-sized yellow onion. Usually when I'm preparing onions or whatnot, I'll stick it in the fridge for about 20 minutes or so, take it out so it has like that really nice crisp. But then also I like to have a strong smelling spice near me, because while you're chopping, if you keep on taking like nice smells and breaths of that different spice, it actually keeps you from crying. So that typically is my tip on not crying while chopping onions. And I highly recommend it. It works, and we also feature a lot of tips on that within our curriculum. So this is 1 medium-sized onion, adding it to the pan. Perfect. Now I'm just going to let that saute for a little bit. And then usually we'll wait until these turn translucent, the onions. So I'm going to bump up the heat a little bit. And then next I'll be prepping the spices so those are ready to be added. So what I'm going to do here is I'll be adding 2 teaspoons of the curry powder. There, and then there. Great. And if you're cooking this at home, just warning you that the fumes are really going to kick it up in the kitchen, but it smells delicious. So I take that as a benefit. And so I'm just stirring the curry powder in a little bit more with the onions. Great. And then while this is cooking, and it's going to take its time, so let me just let that saute. I need 1/4 teaspoon of allspice. And I'm not sure if you guys have used this much in the kitchen, but it just smells so delightful. It reminds me absolutely of the holidays. So just 1/4 teaspoon in there. And looks like this, nothing too beautiful yet, but wait and see. So I'm just going to keep stirring that in. And then now I want to do my minced garlic. It just wants probably about a tablespoon. So this is a large piece of garlic that I have here. I'm just going to chop a bit off. And a neat trick that I've seen is some people use potato pillars or other things to chop around the garlic, but you could actually use the backside of a spoon, dig in this way, and it starts to peel away the skin fairly easy. Okay, see how peeled that is just from the spoon? So that is what we've got here. Now I'm going to chop this up. Perfect. Now just to make sure that we have the measurements and everything okay, I know I said with the garlic, it's going to be, sorry, with the ginger, it's going to be 1 tablespoon. So let's just pack this on in here. Perfect. Now we have the garlic, Now we have the ginger. So I'm adding the ginger along. And now we're just stirring this back in with the spicy chickpeas. Great, so as you'll see, we have a very yellow pot, but it's starting to get translucent, and now you just see the color reflecting off the onions. Let me give you guys a better look just so you can see how it's looking. Perfect. Great, so now while this is marinating, I'm gonna open up the can of diced tomatoes, and we'll be adding that to the pot, but you also will be adding the liquid too. So if you're cooking with fresh tomatoes, I definitely recommend having some vegetable stock in hand just to add a little extra liquid for this spicy chickpea recipe. Great, now I'll be adding in the tomatoes. Now we're stirring it back all in together. Oh, if you saw it, it's already starting to look pretty. So I'm gonna turn up the heat a little bit and give you guys a sneak peek of what it's looking like with the tomatoes added. Stir that in, let it sit for probably about a minute or two. And while it does that, I'm going to open up the cans of chickpeas, and I'll also be chopping up the cilantro just to save some time. So yeah, let's start with the cilantro. So usually it asks for a half bunch of cilantro. You know, feel free to eyeball it, because if this seems like more than a half bunch to you, you could always remove a few stems. Whereas, you know, if you really like cilantro like I do, then this is actually half a bunch, and I will plan to add it all to the spicy chickpeas. And so now I'm gonna open up the 2 cans of chickpeas. There we go, it slipped out of my hands. Great, and just warning you now that this recipe does serve 8, and it is a total of 159 calories. It has 0 grams of saturated fat, and yeah, that's usually what we, you can always find that information on our curriculum where we have the nutritional information for the recipe. I'm getting my arm workout in today. If you guys need any arm fitness, work with your canned goods. All right, perfect. Great, so now we'll add in the 2 cans of chickpeas. I will be removing a lot of the excess liquid, just because, I mean, you can choose if you want to keep the liquid in or not. I'll keep maybe a little bit, but I prefer it actually without the liquid. And just rinse them, because usually when you know, remove the liquid, rinse them a little bit, it takes out a lot of that sodium. Great, and so now I'm just stirring it all in. And you could add the cilantro in the end, you can add it now, but for the most part, this just needs to sit for at least 4 to 5 minutes. So here's how it looks so far. I'm not sure if you could see it from that angle, but here it is. Always afraid of spilling. There it is. And then the last thing I'll be doing is adding in the cilantro to this dish. But what I am actually going to do is add a little more now and a little bit towards the end, so I can still get that flavor. And it's honestly what I love a lot about, you know, recipes and utilizing that within our curriculum. It's a blueprint, you know, use the foundational side of it, but if there's other spices that you think would work for the flavor context, feel free to add that, try it out, and make the recipe yours. We definitely encourage that, you know, within our community, but I think just any cooking class should encourage that, you know, the flexibility to kind of, you know, add other tastes and ingredients to the recipe, because in the end, you're the one who's eating it. So it's got to be something that you enjoy and, you know, that you'll appreciate to have for dinner later. This recipe in particular is from our A Taste of African Heritage curriculum. This is kind of what it looks like. This is the adults one. And then on, you know, lesson 1, this is one of the first recipes featured. And then about our heritage diet, we are a healthy traditional, you know, eating model based on the common threads of foodways and of, you know, reflecting the African ancestors. The diet recognizes the distinct flavors of traditions of 4 major regions throughout the African diaspora. So West and Central Africa, the American South, the Caribbean, and also South America. And so it's really important because the core of Oldways African Heritage and Health Program is our 6-week cooking series. And that's this, which is called A Taste of African Heritage. And we also offer a children's one, which is a 7 weeks cooking curriculum for our Taste of African Heritage. It's great because it has the fitness component, it has the extra credit assignments, the reading. So it's a lot more children friendly, but it still has the, you know, underlining foundational concept. Oh, that's the timer. Great, so I'm gonna turn down the heat. Let me get my mitts back on. Oh, that smells. Okay, perfect. I'm just gonna stir it around a little bit. So let me show you how the pot looks, and then I'll scoop it in a bowl and try it, because how do you know if it's good if the cook doesn't even try the dish? So here it is. Perfect. Now I'm just gonna have a little bit. And then a little more later, probably for dinner. I do. Here we are. Okay, I'm probably taking too much now. I'm not gonna eat all this, but I'm just gonna take a little bite. So here it is. And it's great because it's really not too spicy. Like we call it the spicy chickpeas, depending on other people's spice tolerance. But preferably for me, it's not. So ways that I'll spicing it up is if you have any Scotch bonnet peppers, or if you can't find Scotch bonnet peppers at your grocery store, even like a nice habanero pepper is really good to spicing it up. And then you could always, because the main seasonings that we have for this is the curry powder, the ginger, and the allspice. But, also adding that additional pinch of paprika, which I have over here just in case, because I have to have my spice. And so just a little dash, stir it in. And it'll do a lot for you. So just gonna take one bite. It's way too hot, but I'll do it. It's like that ginger really has a nice taste in it, and you can taste it in every bite, but it's not overpowering at all. It really complements the tomato, the cilantro, the onions, and I feel like the chickpeas is just really good for substance too. But yeah, it's really nice. It's kind of like a mix between like a stew or like a, not super brothy, but definitely has that feel.